Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everyone and welcome to another TCC10 episode of the Combot Collective here, bringing you everything you want to know about the 2021 Battlebots season. It's your host, as always, Sterling Brown, sitting right here once again to break down another week of a fantastic week at Battlebots action and the fight that we have all been waiting for. The fight that we were talking about all last week, the big main event. It was our number 1 in our TCC10 versus our number 2 in our TCC10, and I think we were expecting some big impacts, but I don't think we were expecting that. It was potentially the shortest fight in Battlebots history, clocking in at only 29 seconds. I would like to see one quicker. And if you don't know what happened, you can see it pretty quickly. It's on Endgame social media right now, the whole fight, because it was just that quick. SawBlaze got caught up on the kill saw polycarbonate, showed its rear, Endgame capitalized, and pretty much set them out of the arena immediately after one impact. What a showcase that was, and we see a bunch of other robots moving upwards because of SawBlaze's incident. We'll get to all that and more here in our TCC10. If you like what you're seeing here, please comment, please subscribe, please send a like, and of course follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, and join our Discord channel. Let's jump into the TCC10 right here. Well, we do see a lot of robots going up this week. We start off our bottom half of the list, a really unique bottom half of the list here, with a few robots that are actually going down, just barely hanging on, like mainly due to inactivity, some controversy, some lesser wins here. But we start off with Jackpot, who's still 2-0 with his win over Malice. We don't know if Jackpot's third fight is going to end up being. It's likely going to be against a pretty challenging opponent. I can't imagine who, though. It's the hometown team. They're going to want to keep them pretty good looking coming into this playoff event, knowing that they are the hometown team. They'll probably end up finding themselves in a top half seeding and everything, because they have some solid wins here. We talked about it plenty. The versatility in their configurations. Malice's plow setup worked great. The mini bot setup with Ace worked great. They have a lot to look forward to here, and they really haven't expunged too much of their resources here, really. Not a crazy amount of damage taken in either of their fights. They've been able to tank impacts and show up some pretty consistent driving so far. Jackpot sitting at number 10. Will we see it in these last 2 episodes before the playoffs? We're just gonna have to see. And now we have 2 robots here that have not left the TCC10 since the very beginning. Our 2 MIT robots, SawBlaze and Uppercut. Uppercut still 2-0, still with the iffy win over free shipping, the explosive win, but a win that left them incapacitated nonetheless. Sitting at number 9 now due to inactivity. Hopefully these guys fight soon. Hopefully these guys fight fairly soon, because if they don't fight soon enough, they're going to fall off this list. Sitting pretty at 2-0, a lock for the playoffs, especially after the power they showed in their first 2 wins. But I want to see them make the full list duration here, and I don't think we're going to see that if they don't fight again, especially if they end up losing a third fight against somebody. They're definitely going to end up with a pretty stacked opponent. They had a really good opponent in round 1, a bit of a feeder in round 2 with free shipping, though they did know it was going to be a good fight. And now we have Uppercut sitting at round 3, waiting for an opponent, eager to see who it's going to end up being. But RotatoR is a fantastic driver. This is arguably one of the best vertical spinners in the world right now. And with a good win, they'll probably find themselves right back in top 5 easily, with only 2 weeks to go here. And now another robot trending downward due to inactivity at number 8, though it's looked pretty damn good so far. Knockout victory in his last round out of the arena, of course, against Lockjaw. Some controversy with fans behind that one, but come on, out of the arena is an out of the arena. Hypershock looked damn impressive there, and it was definitely unintentional. Out of the 3 out of the arenas we've seen so far, this one was the most unintentional. But I digress. Falling down to number 8 here, Team Hypershock, captained by Will Bales, of course. They're like the San Francisco Giants of this sport. They really are. One year they do great, one year they do poorly, one year they do great, one year they do poorly. But they're doing real great this year. 2-0, like we said, with a couple of knockouts against robots that were in the playoffs last year. Two top 32 robots in Slammo and Lockjaw, both easily incapacitated. Hypershock, of course, took a little bit of damage, thrashed wheels and everything during this last fight they had, but They show that even with a damaged robot, this is a very robust, resilient Hypershock, just like the one we saw in 2019. The sky's the limit for these guys, and hopefully we'll see them pick up a third win here. Hopefully we'll see them get a top 10 seeding in the playoffs so we can see that colored Will Bales here. I know they had commented on one of our posts lately saying that they just wanted to see, saying that we just wanted to see the Will Bales hair color, and we do a little bit, we must admit it, as we now move on to number 7 here. And jumping to lucky number 7 here, talking about a robot, funny enough, this robot's been hopping on and off the list, feels like the whole time. Number 7, Team Ribbot and Ribbot, now our first 3-0 robot, getting that judge's decision victory off P1 last week. Who knows, maybe this was from that fight, but I digress. It ended up looking pretty good. You can't discredit what this robot managed to do. Managed to survive the pulverizer impact, survive some really good driving from P1 and Brandon Zielinski here. The configurability, the modularity of Ribbot has just, it's always been such a big asset to them. They've been one of the most modular teams in the Reboot's entire history. Up there with teams like Bombshell, of course, Chaos Corps. Both Undercutter and the Vertical Spinner just look supreme in both these showings so far. All 3 of their showings so far, I should say. But I have given a lot of criticism to Ribbot's strength of schedule this year. I have been the first one to say that, yeah, I think this robot has had kind of an easy setup. I've been calling it the Robot Ruckus schedule for a reason. They've beat 3 Sportsman class robots in Defender, Overhaul, and P1, and no discredit to these teams, of course. I love all 3 of these robots. They've also had a bit of a blue opponent theme this year, I've just noticed. But yeah, Ribbot now 3-0. Easy lock for, I would say, probably a top 8, maybe even top 5 seeding in the playoffs, because they looked absolutely stellar here. Even when they were contested a little bit against P1. Great driving, as always, by David Jin. And we're going to see a lot more of Ribbot this year, I bet. And now going up to number 6 here, Robot has somehow gone up a slot, despite not fighting for a couple weeks now. 2-0, still with its only most recent win against the Lucky, that knockout victory, of course. We're talking about Tantrum here. I guess it went up a spot, took Blip's spot because Blip is nowhere to be seen on the list this week. Only an honorable mention, as you can see at the bottom below. Honorable mentions also to Lockjaw and Combot for this week. But going back to Tantrum, yeah, just a bunch of inactivity from the team. We don't know if they're going to have a third fight, or, well, we know they're probably going to have a third fight, but we don't know versus who yet, I should say. The puncher has looked very good. Both Alex Grant and Ginger Schmidt have clearly done a lot to this whole robot, and along with the rest of the team. Aaron Hill, of course. The whole Seems Reasonable Robotics crew is just one of the most well-oiled programs in robot combat right now. Chris Rose himself said it a couple episodes ago. Those guys are unstoppable. They might easily have 2 of the top 10 seeds coming into this bracket competition here, and it's going to be really exciting to see where Tantrum and Blip end up finishing. And now it's come to this, how the mighty fall. We're talking about this robot a bit early because, like I said, last 7 times we've been doing these, it has been SawBlaze at number 1 at the end. And I start feeling like a broken record because there's only so many ways you can talk about Minotaur losing a judge's decision and Mad Catter getting knocked out. No longer. SawBlaze sitting at number 5 now, sitting at 2-1. We finally have another robot with a loss on their board in the TCC10. Because, I mean, it's hard to discredit SawBlaze. They've still had a crazy good year. A lot of fans are calling this win a fluke, and with some good reason. Of course, you know, there's always a lot of questions left in the air when you have fast pittings or fast out of the arenas like this. Endgame really just managed to take advantage of a poor situation for SawBlaze. Like they said in their fight report recently, during the opening moments of the fight, SawBlaze did get their right front fork caught on not the kill saw slot, but the plastic around the kill saw slots. So that's even more unfortunate. You can't even blame the slots for this one. And that spun SawBlaze around, left bare rear for endgame there. Sent out of the arena quick, but at least it didn't take too much damage. You gotta imagine this robot's still going to be a top 8 placement for playoff seedings, and it'll probably remain in the TCC10 though. Now that its regular season has finished, they're probably not going to get that. They might end up falling down the list a little bit here in the TCC10 with 2 more TCC10s to go before we hit the playoffs. Interesting to see where they ultimately finish off, but I will be surprised if they end up leaving the list like Uppercut may. And we now enter our top 4s here with 4 robots, 3 2-0s, 1 3-0. All four of these robots, proper elites. This could easily be a preview of our top 4 seeds in Battlebots this year, depending on how these next 3 robots end up finishing up. But starting off with Copperhead here, of course, big win against Fusion a couple weeks back. Ended up looking really good, taking advantage of some of the fire issues, speed controller issues that Fusion was having yet again. Probably one of the best bout machines we've had this year. They put up a really high quality split decision victory against Lockjaw. Had a good barn burner, huge back and forth slugfest against Fusion, but managed to outlive Fusion this time. Overall, these guys just look super good, super reliable. We're not seeing any of the woes we saw in early 2020 and all through 2019 Copperhead. Caustic Creations, a well-oiled machine, and I do want to give a shout out to their drum design that they had in the Fusion fight a few weeks back. I was curious what they were going to do with the snake theme, because they always do the etching, engraving into the drum for each fight, but they had the snake doing a little science experiment with a flask. I thought that was really cute. Shouts to that. Copperhead now sitting at number 4, a real playoff contender, a real championship contender in Copperhead. And now we go forward to our number 3 here. A bit conspicuous by its absence, the spinner. It's been all lifter so far for Whiplash, but it hasn't mattered much. Whiplash sitting at 2-0 so far right now. The defending runner-up, the defending silver medalist of Battlebots, the 2nd seed for the regular season, you could say. Matthew Vasquez is still the best driver in the world, in my opinion. Every time I see this guy fight, every time I see him put robots like Scorpius, like Bloodsport, like Bronco, like Hydra into these situations, these finesse situations with their elite driving, like Valkyrie too, especially Valkyrie. He's just absolutely insane. He's like a machine. Someone was actually pointing out on online the other day that Matt Vasquez doesn't blink at all. And would you with that kind of driving power that this dude has? This guy's an absolute machine, built for robot combat. It's in the family. Jeff Vasquez, of course, a Robotica semifinalist, a Battlebots top 16, I want to say, with Odebzy in 5.0 middleweight class. But I might be incorrect by that. Debbot, though, was a successful robot in its past. And these guys, still no stranger to success. These guys had Sabretooth and Splatter and past eras during the non-televised era. My point is, they've always been a real successful force, and we're probably going to see Whiplash in that number 2 seedings position, I'd have to imagine. And we'll probably even see Defender in the playoffs if they keep their solid run going. We now go to number 2 here, and this number 2, a real surprise. I genuinely thought we were going to see Whiplash easily take the number 2 position, or maybe even a Tantrum. But no, instead, a robot that had a losing record in the regular season last year, ended up making some heads turn the playoffs, making the top 16, losing the split decision to eventual champion Endgame. Still went on to have a really good year with the bounty competitions, winning the Bronco bounty with 4 easy wins there. RotatoR and Victor Soto, Team Revolution, these guys have looked insane this year. I was talking about during the off season that RotatoR might be one of the best robots coming into this year. The compactness, the reliability, the weapon consistency, the driving, the flankability that Victor Soto has, very similar to what Ray Billings has with Tombstone, the strategic driving with a horizontal spinner like that. And it's versatile. It can be undercutter, it can be an overcutter, it can take blows. This robot has not been knocked out in a very long time, and I doubt we'll see it get knocked out anytime this year as well. RotatoR, it's probably the best horizontal spinner in the field this year. You know, there was a lot of discussion with the upper deck was horizontal spinners are going to be nerfed. They're going to have trouble in this arena, and we have seen some of that a little bit, especially in fights like Uppercut versus Gigabyte. But I think the stoutness, the compactness of RotatoR, and its fairly stubby blade, like I say stubby, it's a hefty blade. It has good bite, it has good power, as we've clearly seen. But in terms of like length, you know, it doesn't give the same gyroscopic force issues that a lot of teams deal with. This was more of a kind of what Black Dragon has with his vertical spinner. It's more of a chip away kind of weapon. It'll eat away at you, will rip away at you, get into your internals a little bit, throw some sparks around, and that's what the fans want to see. That's why I really think RotatoR, along with bots like Free Shipping, along with bots like Blacksmith, is truly one of the best bout machines in robot combat right now. It's a high quality fight every time they go out there, and I am stoked to see who they get to fight next. And of course, they have one crown, and now they are taking another. We have a new number 1 at the TCC10, and It always felt like it was meant to be Endgame, the defending Battlebots champion, probably the top robot combat bot in the world right now as Bite Force is retired. Endgame, of course, from New Zealand. Oh yes, Robotics, a real ambassador of the sport as well. We know that they are setting up a heavyweight arena in New Zealand, really helping the New Zealand scene in that regard. These guys, Jack Barker, and the rest of the OES Robotics crew, they have built a well-oiled machine, and they kind of shut me up. I was looking at those long forks on Endgame, and I thought that was going to end up being a big factor for them losing this fight. I thought SawBlaze was going to win it. I thought they were going to win it kind of easily. But no, Endgame got their revenge from their USA versus World loss in 2018 and easily sent these guys out of the arena. They had some good luck. They had some good merit due to kill slots kind of messing up. The kill saw polycarbonate kind of messing up SawBlaze, leaving its rare exposed. You can't blame Team Endgame, OES Robotics with Endgame for wanting to take advantage of the opportunity and land a really good strike. That's where they happened to send them, and that's where they happened to go. Out of the arena, SawBlaze went Endgame. An easy winner here, a dominant winner here, and they could not have looked stronger. They could have not looked more convincing heading into the top 32 bracket. They're easily going to be the #1 seed. I feel horrible for whoever ends up being seeded 32nd going up against Endgame round 1. We're going to see these guys make a deep run. We might even see them go back to the championship because Endgame, not like last year. They aren't coming into the playoffs with a regular season loss against Bloodsport or anybody. They're coming in fresh. They're coming in probably as the TCC10 #1. I can't see a robot taking them off the top of this list right now. And you have a lot of reasons to be hyped if you're an Endgame fan, if you're a part of OES Robotics, because they can't be coming into the playoffs more hot. And there we go. It's another quick TCC10 list breakdown for us after episode 8 of Battlebots. A really exciting week. We have a few honorable mentions like we were talking about. Bots like Lockjaw, bots like Combot, and bots like P1 and Blip all barely missed the list this week. We're still probably going to see bots like Blip, P1, Combot. We're likely going to see all those robots in the playoff mix. So maybe even Lockjaw if they can manage to get one playoff win, or one regular season win, sorry. We're talking about the TCC10 group here. Endgame finally taking its spot at #1. SawBlaze finally knocked off its perch. A bunch of robots going up, a bunch of robots going down, and Ribbot finding its way back onto the TCC10 list at #7 at 3-0. Will a week schedule keep them on the list, or will they end up falling off the list here on week 9? Week 10, as we approach the end of this list, it is worth noting here we probably won't be doing TCC10 for Battlebots during the playoff part of the competition. Probably won't make much sense as robots are going to get knocked off 1-1. They're going to go, little by little, bounce off the list here. But we will start be doing a heavyweight overall TCC10 ranking, which will be factoring in, of course, European robots. It'll be factoring in the live scene. It's going to be factoring in playoff fights and bounty fights. So we're going to see a good mix of robots jumping up and down from that. We'll probably be talking about robots like Big Deal and Eruption when we start doing things like that. So that's going to be fairly exciting. And speaking of robots like Big Deal and Eruption, we did just put out a live event video, live event analysis for the UK scene, breaking down the Saudi Arabian event and the Robots Live Crawley event that happened with our UK robots there. That was a good video. Just 50 minutes of me talking UK robots if you're into that. We'll be doing more live event breakdown videos like that in the future, though, for Robot Ruckus, for Motorama, and for Normal Havoc. But in terms of Battlebots, of course, TCC10 will still be happening until the end of the regular season. And, of course, we will still be doing breakdowns and news, and we will be doing the predictions episode as well. That, though, is going to do it for us here, I think. This has been the TCC10. Endgame sits at #1, rating high with a top 3 of RotatoR at #2 and Whiplash at #3. That will wrap it up, though, of course. I am Sterling Brown, the Combot Collective here. Please like, leave a comment, please subscribe, of course, and hit that bell. I think that's something we're supposed to say. And, of course, please follow us on Instagram, please follow us on Facebook, and please join our Discord channel. We're now officially going to get out of here. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.